Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Friday session here at Namaste Village, entering even deeper into the Namaste experience, soaring even higher than we ever thought was possible into the rarefied air of oneness. You know, we hear about people climbing high mountains, let's say Mount Everest, and they get into that rarefied air where they have to breathe in a different way. You can't breathe in the same manner that you do when you're on level ground, when you're sea level or anywhere near that. We get to the point where we are ascending and there is less oxygen. We need to learn how to breathe, and we need help breathing. We need the assistance, say, as we need the assistance of the Holy Spirit. We need to learn a new way to survive, to live, to thrive. That's exactly what's happening to us. We can't use the same tools, the same perception that we have been relying upon until now, because we have entered that rarefied air. We've ascended to the point where we cannot breathe in quite the same way. We learn a new way of being. Does that make sense? So I want to begin by reading just a short little bit that I found very interesting from one of my favorite authors, Anthony DeMaio. Sometimes people say DeMello, but it's actually DeMaio. Anthony DeMaio was a Jesuit. He is from India. So he brought together that Western and Eastern philosophy, spirituality so beautifully well. So he had one quick little story here that I thought I would open with. There's a story of a disciple who went to the master and said, "Could you give me a word of wisdom? Could you tell me something that would guide me through my days?" It was the master's day of silence. It was Wednesday. So he picked up a pad and he wrote on it. It said, "Awareness." When the disciple saw it, he said, "This is too brief. Can you expand on it a bit?" So the master took back the pad and wrote, "Awareness, awareness, awareness." The disciple said, "Yes, but what does it mean?" The master took back the pad and wrote, "Awareness, awareness, awareness means awareness." Why do we overcomplicate what needs no complication? Why can't we just be aware? Aware and awake, aware of what has always been true, aware of the very foundation, the very presence of our true identity. So that being said, this morning I wanted to also read something from the Yeshua Code. This is Dave, you got yourself unmuted. Let me mute you. If you see yourself suddenly come on the screen, mute yourself. Okay. That means you're unmuted. That means we can hear you. Okay. The Yeshua Code, which was originally called the Art of Spiritual Peacemaking, began when I was with a group of people in Israel, and we were at the Dead Sea. And there is a mineral spring at the Dead Sea. So it's water that comes from the Dead Sea. So it has the extremely high salt content. So you can't sink, you just bob at the surface. But a hot mineral spring. Amazing. And I was in this spring all by myself. And I had been trying to come up with a course. I'd been trying to write it. I realized now that my problem was I was trying to write it rather than let it be written, open to the inspiration so that it could be written. And so I was in this mineral spring just thinking about this when suddenly I looked up and I saw a man walking out of the desert toward me. And it was a bit strange because he had this big white wrap all on him. And as he got closer, I saw that his eyes were like on fire. There was something about his eyes. And as he stood right above me as I'm still floating, I realized that this was not, I wasn't seeing him with my physical eyes as much as I was seeing him, the truth. I was having a vision. And this was Yeshua. This was Jesus standing there. And he looks down at me and he says, "Can I help you with this?" That's when I realized that I was the problem because I had to think about it. And that's when I realized, yes, I need your help. I need your guidance. And the only way to explain it after that was it was like I was a computer. And you know when you download something onto your computer, all of that information is flowing onto the computer. Then it shows up like a little icon on the screen. And it's only when you click it later that it opens and you can see what it was. And that's what happened. I felt this rush of energy just come into me. And he told me everything I needed to know about it, that there would be 33 lessons. Each one would be exactly 999 words, and they would be encoded. And that whenever I wanted to access one of these, kind of like clicking the mouse, I should get into hot water, whether it be a bathtub or even a shower or whatever. And then it would open up that lesson. And that's exactly what happened. When I went back, I was living in Ashland, Oregon at the time. And when I went back to Ashland, we had a hot tub in the back. I would get into the hot tub. I would have my computer right next to the hot tub. I would just pray and meditate. And suddenly it was like something happened. I would jump out of the hot tub, just begin typing whatever was happening. And then I would come to this point where I would feel stop. And I would stop. And I would look down, and I would say 75% of the time, it was 999 words. The other times it was 998, and I would take out a the or an of or whatever. But 75% of the time it was spot. I wouldn't change a word. I just put it out exactly as it was. We put it out first as a PDF, and then ultimately as the book, The Art of Spiritual Peacemaking, and then most recently we branded it as the Yeshua Code. I even Jeff told me that he saw that on the non-dual devotion site that they actually have the PDF. So I just want to read one bit because it applies to what we just heard from Anthony DeMaio. And this is important because we've been talking about the illumined mind, the three supposed stages into the enlightened awareness, into your whole mind. It always begins with the illumined mind, when something clicks into place, and suddenly everything, you can see everything exactly as it is. Like that experience I told you about when I was 18. I had no idea that I was seeing the world cloudy until I put on a friend's glasses and everything came into focus. That's what it's like. The illumined mind is like putting on the glasses of true vision, and you see clearly for the first time. But the problem, oh, Carla, you got unmuted. You got to watch for your name or your face. That I don't know how people get unmuted when they're not trying to unmute themselves, but it throws me off. Okay, where was I? Okay, well, I was talking about the illumined mind. The illumined mind is is the weakest of the three enlightenments because the ego is still very much in place. The natural tendency when the illumined mind dawns is to say, I got it. You see, the idea of I is still very much present, right? So I have something now that maybe a few people have, but I have something that very few people. Now I'm going to be the teacher. Now, this is what happens actually to the vast majority of those who declare themselves as the awakened teacher that everybody should listen to, that everybody should follow. Did someone else just come up here? I'm watching for you people. Carla, Carla Erickson, why do I have to keep muting you? You're throwing me off, Carla. What was I just saying? The illumined mind. Yes, that is the trap that the vast majority of because if you think, okay, now I have it, it stops. The process stops right there. As opposed to the key, stay humble. Realize that I on my own can do nothing. I on my own know nothing. Even though this bright new light association has come into my mind, I can't take any credit for it. Because then what happens is it dissolves into the awakened heart, the second stage, right? This is where compassion, oneness, the experience really begins to take hold in our whole being. There's no longer a sense of I. It is only the reality of I am. Oh, Carla, what is happening to you? I know it's not her fault, but Carla, please watch because you keep getting unmuted. Every time I mute you, there you go. Okay. All right. Anyway, where was I? The awakened heart. And suddenly these two come together into the realized soul. Now, usually I say, of this we cannot speak because it is wholly beyond the perceptual vein of the conceptual ideas and symbols. It is wholly beyond them all. Therefore, trying to use a symbol to describe that which is not symbolic becomes impossible. But as I was reading this, that was a long introduction just so I could read this to you. Because this morning I opened up the Yeshua Code and I came upon this one bit that I thought came close to explaining, and also the importance of awareness. So let me read this. We stand together on a bridge so sacred that words can never describe the grace we feel. We will stop and consider this final step for a moment. The journey from one holy thought to another, from the place you never left to the home where you have always lived. The journey from one holy thought to another, from the place you never left to the home where you have always lived. Your mind wandered away for a moment, but your spirit has always remained and will rejoin, and we will rejoin it now with the awareness of your illumined mind and your awakened heart. This is the only thing that has been lacking, your awareness of who you have always been. But now even that fades, that awareness even fades into the ocean of timelessness. Nothing has been lost, and all thoughts of separation dissolve into the holy vision you now perceive. One final step, and you are there. Take my hand, and I will lead you into the safety of your sacred self. I want to describe the single action of this final step, what we are calling the realized soul. It is the third enlightenment, and you already possess the fruits of this gift, though until now you have closed your eyes to them all. As we stand together on this bridge of awakening, I will share the single lesson that will mean more than all the rest. Isn't that exciting? The single lesson that will mean more than all the rest. And yet, it is the one your mind will be most unwilling to grasp, to finally let go. That is because this holy action is so foreign to its current system of thought, that which separates everything from itself. It can, if you can lay aside this resistance, even for a moment, and enter into this current like a child, then your realized soul will dawn, and you will remember all the things you once tried to forget. Open now and try to understand what I will now describe. A fully realized being moves through all worlds with one word. Moves through all worlds with one word, one thought and one feeling surrounding their heart. This word is the bridge we've been discussing. This one word. Though 1,000 words move through their space, there's only one that is heard. That's beautiful. Though 1,000 words move through the space that they inhabit, they only hear one. Though 1,000,000 thoughts enter their mind, then leave, only one remains, one word. And though their feelings may change, as all emotions change, there is one that remains full and real. I will describe this as a single word, though even this word does not approach the holy altar that I'm offering to you now. If you can access the light that lies behind the word, and then know that you are that light, then you will realize with your soul what may have seemed hidden for a time, but which has always been right in front of you. That word is yes. Though 1,000 words cross through your mind, one remains in the illumined whole self. Yes. Just be with that for a moment. The expression of yes. One of the things that I think comes out earlier in this book is when we say the name of that one, that consciousness, who lived 2,000 years ago, and of course lives still within each one of us. Even that name proclaims the power of this single word, Yeshua, which we could say, yes, you are. Yeshua. The word yesh in Hebrew, do we have any Hebrew scholars here, anybody? I know we've got a couple of people who probably speak a little bit of Hebrew. Basically means yes. I don't know if that's where the word yes comes from, but they're synonymous. Yes, the name of that one who you are, that radiates within you now, even proclaims that single word. Yes. So the question becomes, how do we live only in that experience? How do we live only in the radiance of that single expression of holiness? And for that, I'm going to turn to my partner. How do we do it, Vicki? Why don't you give it to us? Tell us how we do that.
Well, we could start with welcoming all the interruptions, Brother James. Welcome.
Blah, blah.
Everything. Because the interruption is the offering. It's the gift. It wouldn't show up unless it was the gift. That's part of what saying yes is. It's really saying and realizing.
Actually, I just want to say I did that on purpose. Just so I can learn that
He knew
lesson.
he set me up. I love it. Because what are you saying? Resist nothing. Resist not evil. Resist not good. Because when we are in that state, however we get to it, some by, just an accident, some by near-death experience, some, I don't know, just fall into that spaciousness and that timelessness of eternity, of what's the kingdom that's presently at hand, that's always here. And once we somehow stumble into it, it's there. There's no forgetting after that. Any of us, all of us, know it anyway, but when we do experience it by stumbling into it, it is an experience of welcoming everything, because there isn't anything outside of it, because it's the all of the all. And but the practice of saying yes while we come back into perception is a way of making space to come into that as a way of life. And it is the interruptions. I remember, oh my God, from the beginning of doing Course in Miracles things, I would remember, different guys coming into different groups that we had going on all the time, who were more than an interruption. They were the obstacle. They were the everything. And a lot of these brothers, as I do. But that was the lesson plan. That was the lesson plan. And just for the record, Brother James, now, I don't know if they're planned or it's planned something with iPhones or something. My phone has a life of its own. It calls people. It signals me for things that never happen. It does things all on its own and never touching it. And I would bet you Carla's maybe doing that at the same time. I don't know why it unmutes us, why it does this or that, but I figure there is no spot God is not. So it's all part of the lesson plan. Because what train of thought are we holding on to anyway? All we want to hold on to is yes. Right? So, but I also want to give a commercial for the art of spiritual peacemaking. And as you call it now, the Jesuit Code. I actually loved that title. It is an art of spiritual peacemaking while we're in time. It took the timeless and brought it into a handy dandy little tool. So, and a few of us in the Step into Heaven conference call spent a year going through it like you would the course workbook. And it was one of the most delightful ways of joining and surely inspired. I just want to send out a commercial for the fun of it, the joy of it. It was very lighthearted, but always right on. But the simple lessons, always like a laser, point to the truth that we are one in the light, that there is nothing to fear. Don't worry about a thing. Just pay it no mind. Just live in the yes of God is, and we're all that. That's it. Simple as can be. And, yes, resist not evil. Yes, whatever is in front of me, whether it's good or bad, here I am. Come through me. Let it pass through me, whatever the experience might be. And in that, whether we have these revelatory moments because of our studies or who knows what, a miracle, or sometimes another path that I have taken for most of my life is this organic arising, this organic coming into this natural spaciousness, just from simplicity. In fact, the Jewish culture with its 613 laws that I learned about from The Chosen, with all of its rules and regulations, Akaldai and many others here will know what I'm talking about, gave us a model of living in holiness. When you enter a door, maybe not bless yourself, but remember Adonai, remember God. When you wash your hands, when you wash your feet, when you go to the bathroom, when you eat a meal, when you drink a glass of water. It's a constancy. So awareness with constancy. That was Mary Ann's message yesterday. Consciousness is awareness with the constancy of remembering the divine, remembering not the divine outside of ourselves, remembering the divine that we are and celebrating it. That's what awareness does. Awareness recognizes what is true, is not fooled by all these passing images, whatever they might be. And then so there's an organic ascension that happens as we turn to the divine in our conscious awareness every day. What is it, Ram Dass? Loving awareness. At the end of his life, what did he want to leave? What was his legacy after years of doing acid and doing all these revelatory experiences and writing books? All he said is loving awareness. That's it. Loving awareness. That's enough. We hold on to yes. And we are the givers of loving awareness. And as we give, so do we receive. We become those beacons. We rise into consciousness without it being an effort. It's just a way of letting our life, wherever we find ourselves, be our classroom for release from what's been hidden and for claiming and ascending to what already is. And the only way out of it, the only thing that holds us back is not what someone does to us. It's not if we fall into an avalanche or a tsunami or whatever it is. It's if we make a judgment, an interpretation, a misperception about the heaven that is our natural realm. We live in the natural realm of spaciousness, of heaven on earth. It's already here. And the only thing that obstructs it, no matter where we are in this, is when we make a judgment against, where we say no. That's the interruption that plunges us down, right back down to the first chakra, right down to, to ground zero here in time and space. And the way out is, oops, forget that. It's like, oh, no, okay, come on in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Tony DeMello, he's a great example of teaching that. He was great because he taught the Eastern tradition of non-resistance and Tao and the flow in Western language so that we all could access. He probably did a better job than Jesus was trying to do 2,000 years ago. Jesus was having his own lessons at the time, trying to teach. That's why he used stories, and why we use the story of our day-to-day life to access, yes, and let ourselves ascend to the Father, ascend to the Creator, to my Father and I are one. That's how Jesus taught it. My Father and I are one. And who can say anything against that? But we have to let L-E-T, let that experience come. And yes is a way of letting. Yes is a way of life. Yes is every instant, every breath in, every breath out. Thank you, yes. Thank you, welcome. Thank you. Here I am. And when I bump my nose, okay, no big deal. Let me remember the timeless spaciousness that is already here. Let me tune in right now. Let me just tune in. And it's our willingness to tune in. And it doesn't matter if we really think, oh, I'm experiencing it, but no, my emotions are experiencing pain. Let your emotions dance all they want. Just say yes to them as well. And they will dance right past your screen of awareness. Amen. Okay, Brother James. That's it. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Vicky. Yes, that's what we leave with. That's what we started with. So before we go, I'm going to stop the recording, but everybody stay here. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you